U.S. organization. We're concerned about U.S. public policy. We're the national organization.
The Academy has always been the focal point for the qualification of actuaries, the credentialing of actuaries, and then the standards that they would follow.
The Academy itself is emblematic of I think, the best of the profession. And our interface with the public is a critical part of that. The stuff that we do in our day jobs as actuaries matters a ton to every American. Everything from the smallest thing, from auto insurance to life insurance to financial security systems and health insurance and so forth. It touches everybody.
The Academy has always represented all members of the actuarial profession, all specialties, all types of employment. There's really no restrictions. So it's comprehensive, and secondly, it dealt with the external role that the actuary played. And I would characterize most of the activities of the other organizations as more internal, dealing with things like examinations, research.
I tend to think actuaries are pretty darn logical. And that's what I think is the greatest thing that the Academy is doing, is addressing the public issues with an actuarial response that enables the outside public to understand why what has been done with true thinking and from a good actuarial standpoint.
Well, the impetus for the founding of the Academy, 1963, 4, 5, was really the thrust by Henry Rood, who had been the president of the society, who had recognized that the profession needed to have a public voice, issues around Social Security, Medicare. He gathered this group of CEO actuaries together and said, we need to bring them all together. We need to focus in on Washington, and we need to be able to speak to Congress and to federal regulators as a single voice.
There was a need to raise the level of professionalism, but also to create the infrastructure, if you will, to allow us to make ourselves more professional and to achieve the recognition we needed.
Prior to the founding of the Academy, we were individuals within companies or consulting firms that basically did really smart work, well-educated, PhD type education, mystery type work. I think that when the Academy came on board and we began to embrace it, we realized that we were important to clients, that we were important to the public, and that there was more to being an actuary than essentially being an employee, that we had responsibilities beyond our employer, and that the public was beginning to recognize that that was an important part of what we as a group of practitioners or professionals would be.
Be grateful that the work that was done by the people who formed the Academy and created those things that they felt the Academy needed to do and then took the actions that needed to be done.
Today we kind of take the Academy probably for granted in some ways, because for many of us it's been there throughout our entire careers. You know, we stand on their shoulders of these people who worked so hard to give us this organization.
What do you think are the hallmarks of a profession?
I would say a code of conduct, a set of standards, and a disciplinary process. Distinguish a profession where there is a feeling of a responsibility to the general public as well as to the members of the profession.
The development of a structure to deal with professional standards had a fairly long gestation period. It wasn't just one day you flip a switch and decide that we're going to launch the ASB. It takes quite a while to do it.
My dad urged that the Actuarial Standards Board be established. It was sort of mimicking what the Institute of the Certified Public Accountants were doing, and so he really urged that that be set up as a totally separate organization with its own board, which helped with our self-regulation of the actuarial profession.
We really were pioneering as far as trying to develop the whole body of standards that we have now, but particularly also develop the methodology for establishing those standards.
I think all too often in the discipline process, people talk about the discipline. I can remember even in my day, we kept saying, no, it's the A, B, C, D. The C, of course, standing for counseling, because if the C function works well, along with the standards of practice, you rarely, if ever, actually get to the D part, which is the discipline issue. And I think, again, all too often it's seen as kind of a stick, when really the emphasis of the A, B, C, D has always really been more on counseling than it has been around discipline. Actuarial professionalism has to be at the foundation of everything that we're about. If the public doesn't have confidence and trust in the opinions that actuaries provide, if we ever get to a point that we lose the public trust, then I think our standing as a profession at that point kind of fractures away and goes away beneath us.
The Academy has a very good reputation within the national public policy community and with federal regulators and legislators. We have a good reputation with the NAIC and with many state legislators and regulators.
We've done, I think, an outstanding job in the public policy arena. And in a different area of the public policy is working with the NAIC, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, as they develop model laws. There's also NCOIL, which is the similar organization for insurance legislators. We work with them in their development of the model laws that they develop and encourage their legislatures to enact.
We couldn't make any progress with the NAIC unless we could convince them that a member of the Academy really was serious about providing service based on standards, and they had to be qualified in order to be recognized as eligible to give an opinion that could be trusted. Our whole goal in the life insurance side at that time was to work very hard on convincing regulators that they could rely on the opinion of an actuary and that they did not have to rely on legislation or other regulation approaches to actuarial soundness and actuarial solidity.
People really didn't know what actuaries did. They didn't sign actuarial opinions in the annual statement on the reserves or anything like that. So his favorite memory of the Academy was at a board meeting in December of 1974 where they announced that the NAIC passed a law that said that a member of American Academy of Actuaries must sign the actuarial opinions.
And frankly, a lot of the things that we were talking about then, things like retirement policy, healthcare policy, those are still big, still big issues today, and they still need a lot of work, and they need the unique insights, I believe, of the actuarial profession if we as a public are going to have any hope of actually beginning to solve these big issues like retirement security and healthcare.
To go into a congressional office, talk to the staff there, and say, what's going on in health policy? Tell us what you're thinking about. What are you worried about? What would you like us to be working on? How can we help you? It's a unique opportunity to promote the value of the Academy.
A lot of volunteers within the Academy. And the first thing that they're told when they come in the door is, we are going to be objective and as independent as we can. If you got a conflict of interest, then you may need to think about bowing out of this effort.
That makes the Academy very, very unique with respect to, say, an insurance association or a regular trade association.
The Academy has a reputation for independence, nonpartisanship and being unbiased that is worth more than gold in D.C.
In the Academy, I really feel like I'm making a difference, not just for actuaries, but society in general. We comment and we provide input to policymakers who are making all sorts of laws that impact everyone. It really is the opportunity to make a difference.
In the Academy, you can make a difference as a committee member, as a committee chair, being on the board, certainly as being a president or one of the leaders of the Academy. You can make a difference, and it is really important work. And I think that everyone that I know who's been involved in a significant way in Academy work looks back and has a real fondness for not only the work they did, but quite frankly, the people they met.
Participate as a volunteer because you learn so much. And my experience with them is, I started out and I kept silent for a while until I realized, I have a lot to give. And you get to work with the smartest people and you learn so much while you're giving, and it's just an incredible opportunity to give back to the profession.
The need for the Academy is greater than it's ever been, I think, in terms of the scope of public policy issues and the scope of professionalism issues that we need to work on. And just you can just look at the scope of the Academy's public policy efforts. You can look at the scope of what the Standards Board does, and it's just a dramatic change from years ago.
It's very bright, in part because of the individuals who are practicing in the United States. And to the extent that actuaries continue to contribute in an ever more complex financial world, the connectedness of financial systems, the interrelatedness of systems and of risks, heighten the need for actuaries and heighten, therefore, the need for a strong bedrock on which actuaries work.
I think the future for us in the Academy is to make sure that we keep our eye on the public policy ball, and that includes standards, includes qualifications.
And I'm thrilled to imagine a future whereby actuaries are much more prevalent in other fields such as banking and other sorts of fields, but where we're accompanied by this professional structure, this professional aura, with a sense of responsibility to the public, that we do think that what we do matters and that we can demonstrate it to the public through our discipline and our rigor and our documentation and our tradition of professionalism.
Congratulations to the Academy. It's been a great 50 years. I hope the next 50 is as good.
Happy anniversary, everybody. It's your accomplishment. It's all of you who volunteer and make it what it is. Happy anniversary.